My sister and my father and I were looking out in the sky.
Then the light went out and it just disappeared.
Wow.
Vanished.
Area 51. Let's
Yeah.
talk about that.
Who knows what they're even telling you the whole story.
They're not that smart. They're not that good. People hide to protect themselves.
There's other civilizations out there in the universe that are so much more advanced that can reach us. I don't think reaching us will be their priority.
It was just cruising along and I was just dumbfounded.
Well, I'm a lifelong abductee. It's one of the very first memories I have of anything.
Oh, wow.
The whole encounter lasted had to be less than 30 seconds.
I, too, have been abducted. It was hard to bring that memory back.
Turns at a 45-degree angle, and then it just took off like somebody shot it out of a cannon without a sound.
If extraterrestrials, they're more advanced than us, what do you think they want from humans? Why would they abduct humans if they're more advanced than humans?
DNA.
I have heard some people say genetics. They mix genetics.
They can't reproduce or something like that. They need stuff from us. Whether or not they created us, I don't know. I'm not talking religion or anything like that, but it can be something that deep. That maybe we were created, and maybe this is the Garden of Eden that we're all living in. I don't know.
Right.
But some things come out when you start going down the rabbit hole and you learn things. And so, yeah, I think, yes, there are UFOs. Yes, there are aliens. Yes, we get abducted. They need us for something.
All right, so we're back with a more familiar face, Dave McCullough, and we're here to talk not about Bigfoot this time, but about UFOs.
Totally different topic.
Very different topic, but I kind of want to pick your ear about this because this is something you've been into for a long time, and you've had your own sightings. So
I did.
Tell us a little bit about that.
That was last fall, Massachusetts, where I live. Of all things, I live right in the city, so you would just not expect to see stuff like that around. Bigfooting, I've seen orbs, plenty of orbs around, lights in the sky, but nothing you could. But this was broad daylight. I was cutting the grass, noontime. I was emptying the bag into my trash bag, emptying the mower bag.
Yep.
And put it back on right before I started it. I just reached over for a drink. As soon as I took a drink like that, it was like a black metallic ball, and it was just cruising along, and I was just dumbfounded. Like,
wow.
When you're not looking,
yeah,
it was bang, it was right there, and it was maybe 2 or 3 seconds tops. No doubt in my mind what it was. Just a round ball.
Yep.
No wings, no sound.
Yeah.
It was like a dark metallic color. But I think they're from another place or another dimension. I don't know if they per se go into space in another planet, but they say the speed of light, the speed of time, things can interdimensional. No explanation for it.
All right, so Carson, tell us kind of a little bit about first your work. You're
Sure.
also in the film space with us.
Yeah.
And then tell us a little bit about your experiences with high strangeness, UFOs.
Sure, you're out. So my name's Carson Weatherby. You can find me online as Jan Carson Weatherby. I'm a documentary filmmaker, musician. My first UFO experience was in 1973.
So before I was even
So even we
born.
were on the planet yet.
Not even. No.
Yeah. So at that time I was 7, and I was living in Marietta, Georgia, which is about 25 miles north of Atlanta.
Yep.
And this was close to Dobbins Air Force Base, which was a major installation at the time. And I was just a little kid, leaving my little house with my single mother and walking across a large yard towards the school bus. There was an intersecting street, through a patch of trees. And as I was walking, I just stopped. I don't know why I stopped, but I looked over my left shoulder. And to my left, there were two smaller pastures, okay? And at the far end of the second pasture, there was a line of pine trees, and just beyond that, there was a brand new subdivision, which subdivisions were just being built, like from the 60s going into the early 70s. These sort of suburban rural areas are being taken over by subdivisions. So, but hanging there in the sky was this disc, black disc, like something had just pasted it there, just drawn it into the sky. And then there were, on either side of the disc, it had two antenna-like legs. And this was just a black silhouette. It had didn't interact with light, it didn't have shading, it didn't cast a shadow. But in the middle of the disc was a light. And it was just like the brightness of a car headlight, like an incandescent headlight from a car. And it was about the size of I thought of it at the time like a VW bug. It was about that big, hanging in the sky, maybe 100 yards away from me, maybe about, 50 feet in the air. And it just caught my attention, obviously. I stopped, and as soon as I became sort of cognitively aware of what I was seeing and got through the question of, should I be afraid of this? Is this something that I should be frightened of? I got this intuitive sense that no, don't be afraid, and I just was curious, like enthralled with what I was seeing. But as soon as that whole cognitive loop happened, it started backing away. It was going up a little bit, kind of on an incline, towards the line of trees that bordered this field and the subdivision. And it went over the tree, back behind the tree, and it just hung there like it was playing with me, like it was doing hide and seek. And then the light went out, and then it just disappeared.
Wow.
Vanished. And the whole encounter lasted had to be less than 30 seconds, 15, 20 seconds tops. Just crazy. And from that point on, in my life, there's always been this sort of questioning and exploration and all of that.
In 2010, we were in San Francisco, visiting, and we're going to the Golden Gate Bridge, walking down to the shoreline, right? This camera here, that he just took a picture with, captured 3 craft in motion. I call them my flying turtles.
They do look like
no
turtles.
wings, just fins. 2 fins in the front, and it's kind of a bad picture. You kind of have to take the original zoom way in. But when you do take, especially with AI technology to zoom in, it's either a secret space program or whatever, but it's not a conventional Air Force craft that we see.
So you think it would be extraterrestrial then? If you...
Well, a lot of it is secret space program.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's been 80 years of lies from our government, especially the Pentagon. It's compartmentalized nut house. Back engineering, for sure. That's probably what this is.
Yeah.
Anti-gravity, free energy. Why is such a hold on that technology?
Yeah. Why do you think the government hides things like this?
Oh, we can't let the enemy have this. They already have it.
Well,
Russia has their own.
Do we also think, I was gonna say, is the American government, I think they're stupid, but are they stupid enough to think that they're the only civilization that would have access to this?
No, back in, of course, you had the 1942 Battle of LA. Even before that, the Socorro, 1941, I think it was Socorro. 41, 42, 47, Roswell. They knew all about this during the war, but they had to stop because they had to concentrate on the war. Truman does MJ-12 group, CIA, NSA. quite a history.
Yeah.
Quite a crazy history. So, who really killed JFK?
CIA.
There you
Aliens?
go. The MJ-12 group. The MJ-12 group.
It's very interesting. I haven't really seen a UFO for myself, but I've seen some interesting things in the sky, and I think there's so much past, you know, the atmosphere that it makes you wonder.
It's a gestalt of many different
Yeah.
things. Yeah, it's not just one alien gray civilization. It's many.
Yeah.
Nordics, reptilians, and Dracos, and oh my God.
And so, do you think like aliens have had impact on history over time, like things like the pyramids?
Oh, definitely,
Stonehenge?
definitely. 12,000 years ago,
Yeah.
they knew they were here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you think they've had an influence on like different people that have discovered things in technology? You think that there's been
There have been implanted into Tesla, Edison, dreams.
Were they aliens?
Whatever.
Do aliens take on human form, you think? And
No,
are these people?
influence.
Yeah.
Influence.
But do you think there could be aliens walking around today?
Well,
Like a shapeshifter?
yeah.
well, I have heard that before Abraham Lincoln was having such a hell of a time during the Civil War, I can't do this no more. He's ready to give up. So he said, I allow you to come in and take over. And from there, he decided, you know, to end the war, or to have it ended. So, and he died right after that. So he was entered in some way by influence.
So
to keep going.
extraterrestrial influenced him to continue.
All of the above, yeah, it's all there. What a universe. What a grand time we're living in.
All right. What was your name again?
Matthew Moniz.
Matthew, good to meet you. So tell us about different experiences you've had seeing UFOs or things in the sky that are unnatural or seem like they couldn't be natural.
Well, I'm a lifelong abductee. It's one of the very first memories I have of anything.
Oh, wow.
1969, 1970, when I was about 3 years old. I was playing in my room with Matchbox cars on my bed. All of a sudden, this weird light comes in through the bedroom window. And what does a normal 3-year-old kid do at that point? Hide under the covers. That'll make me safe. This particular night, this whatever thing was, the light got into the room. It was a turquoise-ish color. And the room started to change barometric pressure, so much so that my closet door creaked open like you would hear in a haunted.
Yeah.
But it was just because of the negative pressure that was in the room, and I'm cowering under the covers, and I could see the shadow because of the light in the room. Next thing I know, this thing is jumped up on the bed and is walking with one foot on either side of me, and at that point my body just locked out stiff, and I tried to scream for my parents in the next room, and all I got out was a beleaguered "Ugh!" And this thing reached behind my head, grabbed the covers and pulled it open, and I'm this far away from something not from here. That was my very first childhood memory.
And do you have any recollection of kind of what it looked like?
Best way to describe it, the word I used was ugly, but it was very, another word I would use back in the day was it looked ancient. And when I mean ancient, like it was old,
Yeah.
old. Its skin texture was not smooth like you see everybody with all of this
Right.
around. Have you ever seen an elephant up close?
Yeah, it's like a raisin.
Yeah, it's wrinkled, furrowed, cracked, and stuff like that. That's more what the skin looked like.
Really
In terms
weathered.
of-
Just
yeah,
a lot of life on it.
Yeah, that's why I
Yeah.
said ancient.
Yeah.
But the skin underneath the texturing, have you ever seen a rainbow trout?
Yeah.
You know how it's iridescent and there are dots and, various colors. That as it moved, those the pigments would change color. It had pinks, it had grays, it had black, it had little flecks of green. So depending upon which way it angled,
Yeah.
you would get a different color hue. Like I said, similar to how when you move a rainbow trout.
Yep.
So you have the elephant modeled skin with this iridescent. So I could see why some people would call it gray, some people would call it pink.
Right.
Because of it all depends upon how close you are, the angles and the lights and stuff like that. That was one of the last things I remember, and then lights out, and then I'm waking up in the morning.
You think the government's hiding information? You think they have?
Oh, I know they are.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I've been threatened at gunpoint. Yeah, I know they are. And it had nothing to do with my experiences. It had more to do with the scientific testing I was doing on stuff. They broke into my house, stole some of my research, stole some of my samples. When that didn't work, they rolled up in a government vehicle with G12 plates on it and threatened me at gunpoint.
This was your research?
They basically rolled up, and best way I'll call him is a gorilla in an Armani suit, and it wasn't black like a Men in Black. Although the same principle. He rolled literally right up to the corner where I was standing to be picked up to go to work. And he said, "Mr. Moniz, you may wish to discontinue the current avenue of research you are pursuing." Pulls out a Desert Eagle 5.0, points it at me. "We'll be seeing you," and then drives off.
Interesting. So you have no doubt in your mind that alien life form exists because you've seen it.
Yeah.
And that the government's hiding it.
Yep.
Why? And do you think that alien life form wants to harm us at all?
If they wanted to, we'd already all be gone.
Right.
That plain and simple.
So what do you think it wants to do with us? Or
Well, I recognize what they're doing. They're doing genetics. Now, whether people want to, believe that or not, that's up to them.
UFO and alien abductions. Stories like that. What are your thoughts on that?
Geez, there's just opinion. I think there's something to it because there's just so many credible people. Missing time. I think it's real. I think there's just too many credible people that have. There's a book by famous Harvard. He's passed now, John Mack, but he was convinced that there was so many, all people coming up with the same stories and the same, marks on their bodies from who knows where.
And then like the crop circles that people see.
I think that's mostly a UK thing, but different parts of the world, that nothing there the night before, and these intricate designs are there the next day. People seeing lights, the same thing on the night it happened.
So you're wearing a Stonehenge shirt. I gotta ask about that. What are your thoughts on Stonehenge? And is it tied to the supernatural and to the?
I think all these mysterious structures, remnants of ancient technology that we don't understand. I actually got this. I was there a couple years ago and picked up a shirt, but something energy lines. That's opinion. A lot of these things are lined up around the world, different continents, but they all seem to be in a straight line, kind of connecting. Energy fields.
Yeah, and you don't just from a physical standpoint. Do you think like human could build Stonehenge?
I don't. Not without something we don't understand. I think it could be a vibration frequency. They might have had an ancient form of levitating stones or heavy weights, and again, that's all just opinion too. But a lot of these things we can't explain. It's just in pictures and stuff like that.
What about the pyramids?
I think the same thing. They're too precise, too massive. Somehow they used the stars and put all these things in place. And again, for the time, they really didn't have the tools, the know-how, technology. We went from like the Bronze Age or before that, the Stone Age, into all these structures, and then into a period where who made them, you know? I think it's just a lost or forgotten technology that we weren't capable. Even today, it'd be hard to make the pyramids precisely as they are today, you know? You can't slip a piece of paper between any of them, and there's hundreds of thousands of years they haven't moved.
I grew up in a small town called Hudson, Massachusetts, and one night I was hanging out with my buddy in his bedroom, and we were putting on instrumentals. It's crazy because you caught me now with vinyl,
Yeah.
you know, and I got a tattoo of vinyl, so I've been doing music for a long time. So we were like putting on some beats to freestyle over, to rap over and stuff like that. And he was rapping, he was like in his bed, and I was like at the foot of his bed, like in a chair, hanging out by the window. And he was rapping, and I'm looking out the window, and I was like, oh, hold up. And I seen something flying over the water. It caught my attention because it's not something that you normally see. But pretty much, it's the house, second floor, you're looking down, there's the driveway, and there's like a street, and across the street is a pond. So it was over the pond, towards the back end of the pond, that I saw something move from left to right. And it looked like a bowl, you know, as a classic UFO, pretty much, a classic UFO.
Like a saucer, yeah.
Right, but instead of just being flat like that, it was like that. And so there was like a strip in the middle, and that strip had what looked like gems on it, like a big ruby, a big diamond, a big whatever. And there was different colors emanating. They were colored, different colors. And to me, I describe the colors as pastel. To me, they look pastel. That's like, you know, like if you take crayons, markers, but pastel, it looked like pastel. And it was rotating the crystals, I would say, whatever, they were rotating that way as the vehicle, the ship, went that way over the water. So I told my friend, I was like, yo, you gotta check this out. And he was like, yeah, right, there's nothing over there. You're busting my ball, you're busting my chops, whatever. So he came to the window, and I had to get out of the window so he can get into the window and look. So when he looked, he saw what he describes as it was going over the further end, and it just shot up and went straight up. So he saw the last part of it shooting up, but I saw the beginning of it coming in. I saw that, he saw that. And that was one of the incidents that we...
Where did your mind go immediately when you saw that? I mean, did you immediately think UFO? I mean, what was going through your mind when you saw it?
I did say UFO, and that's why he was like, nah, you're lying. Like, you know, shut up. Like, but it was hard to describe it, because when I saw it, my mind was like okay, that's not an airplane, that's not a boat. There's no waves rippling behind it on the water. I don't see no people, but I see it just hovering above the water. It's probably like 4 feet above the water, Trip Pond, and it's floating that way while it's spinning in that motion. And it was that middle strip that was spinning. You know, it was so like symmetrical, whatever. So maybe I couldn't tell that the top was spinning with it, but it looked like just that middle part was spinning. So that was one of the incidents that we seen. And he reminded me, my best friend at that time, like he's still my best friend now, he reminded me of it. He told me that story, and I was shocked because I had totally forgotten about it. Like, I did not remember about this thing at all. But what prompted that conversation was me telling him about an incident that I thought he remembered. Because one night we were riding our bikes to go hang out with some friends at their house in Hudson. We were going down, forgot the name of the street, but we're riding our bikes down the middle of the street, and it's like around midnight or something like that. There happened to be a meteor shower that night, as my best friend reminded me recently that there was a meteor shower, so we kept looking up. But we were riding our bikes along, and we immediately jumped off the bike and hit the ground because we thought it was gonna hit us. But it made no sound. It was silent. There was no like wind moving, branches moving after that. There was nothing like that. But it was like, like that. So getting back up on the bike, that was the last I remember of it. I don't remember if we went to our friend's house to go hang out with them. And I even brought it up to them and said, remember that night? And they don't remember it. Like, they don't remember me anything. So we don't remember if we went back to the house. Our mind is, you just
remember seeing it, and that was kind of it.
Yeah, we don't remember going home, what time we got home, if we were excited about it, did we tell his parents about it, my parents about it?
Yeah.
Just completely forgot about it, but apparently he remembered it. No, that was the one I remembered, the one with the bikes. And then the one he remembered was at his house. It was going over a Trip Pond. But that one, I was able to see it in more detail because it was moving slow. It was moving slow like that and then shot up. And that's it.
So I have interviewed a few people that have claimed to be abducted by aliens and extraterrestrial. What are your thoughts on that? And do you think maybe the reason you forgot would potentially be because they had altered your memory? Or, I mean, kind of what are your thoughts on the abduction side of this?
Well, the abduction side, like I honestly can say I too have been abducted, but it was hard to bring that memory back. And I talk about it in the UFO Chronicles podcast as well. It was something that happened so long ago when I was like a child that I had regression. I had a UFO regression done on it. And it seemed like it was like I was watching a movie, and it was so bizarre. But it wasn't like I saw little creatures or anything like that. But I do remember going up and flying above the clouds and being amazed by it. And it was somebody from my class, my school. It was first grade. She said that they come and pick her up every night. And I was like, get out of here. It was like, come pick me up. So then she came and picked me up. So my memory of being in the vehicle going above the clouds, I was so excited, and I said to the driver, which in my regression, the driver was blocked out. I couldn't see the driver at all, and there was two. I couldn't see them, but I knew where they were. So I was able to see myself talk to them and say, where is my friend that said they were gonna pick me up?
Yeah.
And they were like, she's right there with you in the back seat. So I looked, and she was in the back seat, like in a fetal position, sleep, and I was trying to wake her up. And so the next day in class, I told her all about it. She's like, yeah, they always come pick me up when I'm sleepy, and I'm always sleeping.
Interesting.
And this is first grade.
Yeah.
And this is something that I wasn't thinking about in second grade, third grade, all the way. This was something that after I had this conversation with my best friend, I reminded him of this story. He reminded me of that story. I got curious and wanted to go and say, and look at my past to see what else has happened in the past that maybe I should double look at. And then I remembered this incident that happened in first grade. Like clear as day, like I just remember all the details of it, and it's bizarre. And then I had the regression on it, and that was even way more bizarre. Because the regression is like something that you don't remember, but they take you to this place in your mind where you can see everything happening from where you
kind of triggered.
Right. So then I'm looking at it like it's all new to me.
Yeah.
So when everything in the regression, I was like, whoa, this is what happened. Like this was. So basically, to sum it all up, I was just a guest for the person that got abducted. She wanted me to come with her, and with the regression, I was able to understand that I was there as like just there in moral support or something for her. And this is again first grader. This is the first grader where my mind was. So it's hard to put it into words as a 45-year-old man talking about what happened in first grade. It's kind of hard to describe that. Like I'd have more definition of it now, but it's so weird. It was like I was watching a movie, watching it happen.
Around the time of Sputnik, My sister and my father and I were looking out in the sky, and we saw a UFO. Bright white light in the sky, three white lights. Now, it was flying.
Yeah.
It was an object.
Yeah.
And we don't know what it was.
Right.
Therefore,
An unidentified.
it was an unidentified flying object.
What did it turn out to be?
We have no clue. We never found out. It didn't fly, it just floated up there. I'm guessing it was a balloon. But we never saw it move or land.
Right.
It was just hanging up there in the sky. And it was flying.
Yep.
It was an object. And we didn't know what it was. Therefore, it was an unidentified flying object. I'm very much the scientist.
Okay.
So I believe if they wanted to see us, we wouldn't know it.
Yeah.
We can now make little things the size of a bumblebee that can fly.
Yes.
If we can do that now, you add 1,000 years of technology, they can do better than that.
Yeah.
So if they really wanted to come here and see us, they did.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't know it if they didn't want us to.
Do you think they built the pyramids?
No.
You think man built the pyramids?
A lot of people built the pyramids.
Yeah.
So in the case of the pyramids, what people forget is that when the floods come in, you can't be a farmer.
Yeah.
You have no income.
Yeah.
Emperors, or in this case pharaohs, don't like people unemployed.
Correct.
It's not good for your civilization.
For your kingdom.
Not good for your kingdom. So you want to give them a job. And they're available and they're strong. So you get a few thousand of those, and there's evidence that they had huge cities that they would go to when they'd feed them. They had huge kilns, they would cook their food. And just this month, I think, certainly this year, they think they figured out how they got the heavy rocks up there. They think they floated them. So I've been to them.
Yeah.
I've been inside Cheops. I've seen the step pyramid, so I saw the progression from when they were learning. So the Mustafa, or whatever the word is, was only a few feet high and was mostly underground, and then they went higher and higher and higher, and then they went to stepped, and finally they wound up building pyramids, and finally decided it's not worth it, so they stopped. So I don't believe, I'm a scientist, I don't believe in anything extra science. But I certainly believe we've had what we called UFOs, what the military is now calling, what are they called?
UAPs?
UAPs. We've had unidentified things forever.
Yeah.
We still will. It doesn't necessarily mean they're aliens.
So do you think the government's hiding anything? Like when we talk Area 51.
They're not that smart. They're not that good. People hide to protect themselves. They don't hide secrets that don't personally affect them. So when we had the Tuskegee incidents and we had bad things we've done to people, they hide it because they're feeling responsible. In the case of the JFK assassination, the CIA was doing some bad illegal things. So they were covering up, not Kennedy,
Yeah.
nothing to do with Kennedy, but they were doing a cover-up.
Right.
FBI was doing some bad things at the same time. So they were doing a cover-up. So when there's people covering things up, you assume they're covering up what you want to know. And so it all got tied up with John F. Kennedy. They can't accept that some idiot just killed him. So I'm not your good witness here of being really into them, but I have seen a UFO.
I've had 3 separate experiences when I've seen 3 different things. Well, 4, you could say. In my childhood, I remember this was all around the Arlington district in Lawrence, probably early 2000s. That was the last time I seen something like that. I seen an airplane flying backwards. I don't know if you ever heard of that phenomenon. Yeah, and I was out with a group of friends. I was getting ready to catch a taxi to go catch a train to go visit an ex-girlfriend at that time. I remember I look up and I seen a plane flying upwards. It was going from south towards the north area, towards like Methuen and then into, Salem, New Hampshire. And I never seen anything like that. It's an airplane. It got the regular nose tip, the wings. I never seen it flying backwards, So,
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, I don't know if it was my imagination, I was going crazy. I seen a helicopter doing the same thing, just flying backwards. I don't know if helicopters could fly backwards like that in such a straight trajectory, but it was going straight, it was going backwards. Also, when I was young, one time I was at the hospital and I was looking outside and I see this thing off in the distance. I thought it was a helicopter, but then I noticed I didn't hear anything. I didn't see anything. And when it went from one side to the other, it almost looked like, you ever seen those water drops on in front of the car? They kind of collect and they gobble up and and they clump up in one area. It was doing that, but then it was going back up, down, in different directions. Never seen anything like that. I don't know what that could be. And as far as if I believe in aliens, I don't think there's anything outside of this world that, you know, if aliens are real, if there's other civilizations out there in the universe that are so much more advanced that can reach us, trust me, I don't think reaching us will be their priority. I think they have.
That's kind of where I fall on it sometimes. Is I just feel like I don't see the point of them.
Yeah.
Trying.
What I believe is that whatever we're seeing, whatever that the Pentagon, whatever they're flying after, but that's come out on the news, that's been here.
Yeah.
I believe that's been here. Could it be another species of human? You know, it could be. You know, there's a lot of things we haven't discovered. We haven't discovered the bottom of the ocean, and it's, you know, we really haven't looked in Antarctica to see what's in Antarctica.
Right.
You know, so those are places that we're always gonna be like wondering what's really back there, because they could tell us, it's a massive frozen land.
Right.
Right. But then again, there's people who go back there who've gone in airplanes and I don't know if it's true, they recorded pyramids frozen over. The Vikings have maps of Antarctica without the ice, you know, and they have detailed maps of structures, buildings, pyramids, you know, and you just never know what it could be, you know. It could be something that's been here, or then again, it could just be a top secret aircraft that, you know, it just lives in the water, uses the water and the salt, turns it into hydrogen and blasts off. You know, I don't like to be one that assumes, but we're gonna assume. It's just our nature, you know. But yeah, those things that I seen were the wildest things that I seen, and it makes me question what's out there, because we're never really gonna know, right? So it'll be nice though, you know.
For sure. Well, I appreciate you sitting down with me and telling me your story, man.
Yes, sir.
In the course of several abductions, I met people. We would be gathered or introduced. And then I remember being introduced to this one girl that they put us in a room together, and we had interaction. We were talking, and I remember the conversation.
So this is an abduction you're talking
Yeah,
about.
during
so
an
she's
abduction.
also been abducted.
She was abducted with me.
What
We
is
were put
this?
together in a room.
Okay, so what leads up to this? What leads up to this
They picked
event?
me up. They picked her up from somewhere else.
What's your memory of before getting picked up? I mean, how did
Oh, I was at home.
you're at home,
Yeah.
just chilling?
Just chilling. Come with us. On board craft. You know, they do their, you know, this, that, and they took all my clothes off and put this, best way to describe it, some type of uniform on me.
Yeah.
And then they brought me into this room that was basically an amphitheater-like, with these big square boxes that started low and worked their way up to this dome ceiling. And there was this like S-curve type of pathway that went in between. That's, like I said, it's like an amphitheater or some kind of theater made of these boxes. So they put me into the room from one side. So I'm sitting there walking up and down the, you know, trying to find a way out. What the hell's going on? So I came back down to the middle of the pathway, and I'm sitting there going, okay, now what? And then the door on the other side opens up. Two of these little guys escort this young girl about my age in. She comes walking over to me, and she's wearing the same kind of uniform that they put me in.
How old are you about this time, roughly?
Teenager, I would say about 16, 17. And she was the same age, dressed in the same outfit. And when she comes walking over to me asking, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know. Do you know what's going on? No. And we're sitting there talking. I'm sitting on one of these boxes, you know, like kind of like what we're doing here. We're having a conversation, and we're talking about school, what bands we like, movie, typical 16, teenage kids doing teenage kid conversations. And she was attractive to me at that time, and I apparently motivated her as well, and type of thing. And I started playing with the thing that she had on. She started playing with because it had a particular property, and we were doing back and forth. And then it came time for us to be done. They opened the door and motioned for her to come, and me being young Mr. Bravado, I jumped and pushed her behind me and like, you're not going to take her away, being all Mr. Bravado, trying to show off. And I got a communication. If you let her go, we'll take you home. Here you go. Bye. I'm going home.
And so then you just, next thing you know, you're back home.
Yeah, they let her walk, and as she got to the doorway, I made like a little bluff charge, and they freaked out and walked through the door, shut the door. So I was like, ha, 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 ha. My last little ha to them. Eventually got brought back home.
Do you believe there is any tie with, when it comes to, we talk about alien life form, you think there's any sort of tie to the spiritual realm in different religions, or like a biblical spiritual realm, or other various religions?
Yes, it's all part of what we know as consciousness. Quantum mechanics and quantum physics have already taught us that this exists. It's all interconnected, it's all tied. It's just various levels of consciousness.
And you believe that certain people have a higher level of consciousness towards these things?
Well, certain people have the ability to tune into things better. Okay, because in physics, we are all a matter of vibration. Things vibrate at a particular frequency. Somebody's makeup, their skeleton and all of the stuff that makes them may be closer attuned to those frequencies, like a tuning fork. They're tuned because of what makes them at that frequency. You may be a different frequency, I'm a different frequency. This person is picking it up because they're closer to that frequency.
Interesting.
Understand?
Yeah, that makes sense. That actually makes more sense. Yeah. They say, like, even with Sasquatch, like one guy that I interviewed said that Sasquatch is gonna appear to you if you have the right energy for wanting to see it. You feel the same about
energy
that?
and frequency are the same thing.
Yeah.
They're just measured in different states in different ways.
All right, so Peter, tell us, you said it wasn't quite a UFO, but you had a high strangeness encounter, is it?
I don't know what to call it. All I know is I feel like an idiot even talking about it because I was young. I was like, I'm 65 now. I was like 25 years old. And it's happened later. I've seen it twice.
Yeah.
We're riding down in my neighborhood with a buddy of mine on a street we know. And I think there's a skating rink at the time, and there was, regular lights and everything. There was a car coming up, black, had his blinker on, and he was gonna, he let me, he flicked it to wave me by. And so we went by, the car disappears. We get out of the car. We didn't say anything to each other, and basically, we saw 4 people in the car. It was a black limousine or something kind of thing, and it was, it just was not, it's gone. So it had regular little headlights, and I only told a few people about it. And a few years, when I was like in my 50s, I was doing my son's paper route. A car pulled up, and I actually saw that guy. It was Connecticut plates or whatever. He went down the street and went into the driveway, and it freaking disappears. I'm just saying, I don't know. I have no idea. I've never seen what you're talking about.
Even like,
oh yeah, I think so. I think the government's hiding stuff.
Okay, so the last guy we interviewed said they're
TR-3B,
Like Area
that aircraft. My understanding, it's ours. You know, the one that's the triangle thing. Everybody sees it everywhere.
Yeah.
That one supposedly is, you know, secret government. They don't tell us anything, anyways. What the hell would they tell us?
So
But that's my understanding.
Area 51. Let's
Yeah.
talk about that. What do you think's in Area 51?
There's a lot of stuff there, but I don't know. I mean,
You
just
think
from
they have alien life form?
I don't know, maybe. I mean, as I say, I've never seen anything. I've only read and watched stuff like everybody else.
Yeah.
And who knows if they're even telling you the whole story.
All right, so Stephen, tell us a little bit about kind of what your thoughts on the UFOs are and aliens and all of this kind of stuff, in your opinion.
Well, it's kind of fun to think they exist. It's funny that there's a lot fewer sightings since people are always carrying good cameras with them in their phones.
Yeah.
Growing up in the 70s, people would regularly post pictures of UFOs, and then they stopped coming around. What's really fascinating about UFOs is people think that if there's aliens from another planet, they're horribly interested in us. We're just endlessly fascinating. You know, they want to pick us up and they want to fulfill all our probing fantasies or whatever.
Yeah, that's... So what do you think when people say that they've been abducted by aliens?
Well, it sounds like they've got a pleasant fantasy. They may have bigger issues they need to deal with if you explore that. It could be a sign of some sort of psychotic or schizo illness too.
Okay. And you don't think that the government is hiding anything about aliens?
About aliens?
About any extraterrestrial life form? Do you think the government is hiding information about it?
I don't think so, but it's fun to imagine they are, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It's a fun thing to try to believe.
Yeah.
Are they hiding stuff about UFOs and secret projects? Maybe they are, and that would be pretty cool.
So the term UFO, everybody's seen a UFO, something in the sky flying they can't identify, obviously. Do you think the famous sightings could be more, would you think it's more realistic that it's some like technology from maybe another government or even our own?
It could be. One thing that people don't consider that would be really fun too is, have you ever heard of ball lightning?
No.
Lightning comes in different forms. And one of the forms it comes in is you can actually have a glowing ball of lightning. And people talked about those for years, and people took that as, well, this is just a legend, this is just a myth. And there's been recent sightings of that, so some of it could be that.
Yeah.
If you see something strange.
Like an
it's nice
orb
to
that
have
people refer to seeing orbs.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, yeah. Yeah.
That could be.
Well, I appreciate your time and for chatting with us.
Very good.
Thanks
I'm
so
glad
much.
you talked to me. I was feeling kind of lonely, kind of alienated, and I appreciate you calling me.
Well, an alien no more.
This is a famous case here. This drew me. I've actually been here a few times, but I had never witnessed.
Tell me a little bit about, I'm not too familiar with the Exeter case, but obviously that's the whole base of this event. So tell us kind of the history of that.
It was, I think, a couple of Massachusetts people were walking just a few miles from here back to Massachusetts, and this guy seen a big red ball go down behind a barn on a farm. I never read the book of the entire story, but I know the police were involved. They went to the police station. They come out, they saw it. The Air Force Base tried claiming they were doing tests and doing stuff like that, but the police, they knew what they saw. They were already on record of something they can't explain. So that was quite an intriguing case.
Area 51, people talk about that a lot. Do you think the government's hiding things there?
I do too.
And why do you think that if they did have that, why do you think they wouldn't tell people about it?
I think it's just denial to keep people in the system. Just don't ask questions. This is just my opinion also, but I think they've known about it for a long time. All these depictions in ancient artwork, cave drawings, just like the Sasquatch thing.
So let me ask you this: do you think like then the cave people had like relationships with alien life form or Sasquatch, or those like maybe they were cohabitating at one point?
I think they did cohabitate.
And the modern technology age kind of ruined that?
Yeah, well, this is all theory too, just from books I've read, but supposedly they call them the Star People came down and seeded what we know as Homo sapiens, and that'd make it like we're the aliens actually.
Right, right.
Because
Yeah.
we kind of fit in with apes and monkeys, but where'd all the technology come from, and why was it missing? But there was remnants from technology in the past. Then we discovered things, you know. It's all just opinion and.
Right. Yeah. Very interesting. Anything else you want to add?
I always doubted it till I really seen it. I always, like the poster says, I want to believe, believe. But actually seeing that thing go by was no doubt in my mind. I want to see a Bigfoot like that now.
This year, as I've gotten involved with the Soul Foundation and meeting those people and getting closer to the topic, other shit started happening.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you guys have experiences like this.
We just got into the high strangeness stuff. This is our first actual like interview with people.
Okay.
So we'll probably start experiencing it now.
Yeah.
But I have heard a lot of people that when they get into it, more stuff starts to kind of happen and stuff kind of becomes more known and they experience more things.
Yeah, it's really funny. I don't know, have you read Imminent yet, Lou Elizondo's book? No. Okay, so when he talks about coming into ATIP, he mentions that Jim Lukatsky is talking to him at one of the first interviews that he did, and he said, you know, you gotta just kind of approach this with an open mind, and it's sticky. The subject is sticky. And then he goes on and talks about how him and his wife started seeing green orbs in their house. So yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
But once you kind of develop a proximity and an energetic connection to the subject,
you're more aware.
You become more aware and things start opening up.
UFOs, do you believe it's alien life form?
I am totally open on that subject. I was just listening to Laird Scranton speak, and if you listen to his talk, all of this is a natural progression of sort of energy cycles and how energy resonance and energy states develop. And he's actually talking about universes, how they form. They form in pairs was an interesting assertion that he made. Do I think they're extraterrestrial? Sure, why not? Of course, they could certainly be that. And the fact is, when you listen to people sort of supposedly in the know, they don't know, and they admit that. And I think that's really cool. That's really helpful, because the more open and the more sort of open-minded and inquisitive we are about it, the more we can learn.
Yeah. And do you think the government's hiding any information from us about UFOs, alien life form?
Yeah, unfortunately, I do. I don't know how deep that rabbit hole goes. I think that we can probably listen to, you know, Elizondo and others in the field who are really expounding on this. And I think we can trust what they're saying, David Grush and those guys. I don't think they have anything to gain by making themselves look like fools. And I think it's very dangerous for skeptics to try to obfuscate or kind of battle against that. I think it doesn't help humanity. I think the more that we can kind of open our minds and use our imaginations and try to see into reality, the more it's going to elevate us.